Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Manachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Srimad Paramahansa Parujikacharya Ashnotara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri ISKCON BBD founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Srimad Paramahansa Parujikacharya Ashnotara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Shaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vāsadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil. And loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Can we turn this down a little bit? I think it was turned up last night for Mukunda Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 5th day of February 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 7, The Science of God. Chapter 5, Prahlāda Mahārāja, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text number 54. Yadacharya Padavritto Grihamedhiya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakais Tatra Sopahutaha Kritakshanai Yadacharya Padavritto Grihamedhiya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai Yadacharyak Padavritto Grihamedhiya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai Yadacharyak Padavritto Grihamedhiya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai Yadacharya 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 Padavritto Grihamedhiya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritakshanai. Ladies? Want to try? No? Okay, don't worry about it. Anyone online? Come on, Tapas.
Yes. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Oh no, you go first, Tapas Prabhu.
Yadacharya Paravritta
Yadacharya Padavritto
Grihamedhiya Karmasu
Grihamedhiya Karmasu
Vayasyar Balakaistatra
Vayasyar Balakaistatra
Sopahuta Kritakshanai
Sopahuta Kritakshanai
Yadacharya paravrito
Yadacharya paravritto
griha medya karmasu
Grihamedi karmasu
vayasyair balakaistatra
Vayasya balakaistatra
sopahuta krita kshanaihi.
Sopahuta kritakshanai. Yada, when. Acharya, the teachers. Paravrittaha, became engaged. Grihamediya, of household life. Karmasu, in duties. Vayasyai, by his friends of the same age. Balakai, boys. Tatra, there. Saha, he. Prahlāda Mahārāja. Apuhutaha, called. Kritakshanai, obtaining an opportune moment. Translation. When the teachers went home to attend to their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlāda Mahārāja would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. Purport. In tiffin hours, the hours when the teachers were absent from the classroom, the students called Prahlāda Mahārāja, wanting to play with him. As will be seen from the following verses, however, Prahlāda Mahārāja was not very much interested in playing. Instead, he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, as indicated in this verse by the word kritakshanai, at the opportune moment when it was possible to preach about Krishna consciousness, Prahlāda Mahārāja used the time as follows. I'll read the next verse too. Atatan shlakshnaya vacha pratyahu yamaha buddha uvacha vidvangs tannishtam kripaya prasanniva. Prahlāda Mahārāja, who was truly the supreme learned person, then addressed his class friends in very sweet language. Smiling, he began to teach them about the uselessness of the materialistic way of life. Being very kind to them, he instructed them as follows. Purport. Prahlāda Mahārāja's smiling is very significant. The other students were very much advanced in enjoying materialistic life through religion, economic development, and sense gratification. But Prahlāda Mahārāja laughed at them, knowing that this was not actual happiness, for real happiness is advancement in Krishna consciousness. The duty of those who follow in the footsteps of Prahlāda Mahārāja is to teach the entire world how to be Krishna conscious, and thus be really happy. Materialistic persons take to so-called religion to get some blessings so that they can improve their economic position and enjoy the material world through sense gratification. But devotees like Prahlāda Mahārāja laugh at how foolish they are to be busy in a temporary life without knowledge of the soul's transmigration from one body to another. Materialistic persons are engaged in striving for temporary benefits, whereas persons advanced in spiritual knowledge, such as Prahlāda Mahārāja, are not interested in the materialistic way of life. Instead, they want to be elevated to an eternal life of knowledge and bliss. Therefore, as Krishna is always compassionate to the fallen souls, his servants, the devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa, are also interested in educating the entire populace in Krishna consciousness. The mistake of materialistic life is understood by devotees, and therefore they smile upon it, considering it insignificant, it being materialistic life. Out of compassion, however, such devotees preach the gospel of the Bhagavad Gita all over the world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, we are about to embark on Prahlāda's wonderful instructions to his classmates, starting in the next chapter. And this was really what we say would be the last straw. It's one thing if Prahlāda was defying his father, Hiranyakashipu, and insisting on preaching to him whenever possible, which he didn't take so kindly. And just went through the whole description about he tried to kill him, actually not personally, but he gave it over to his henchmen, and they tried every which way they could possibly think of. But he was invincible. In fact, he wasn't even hurt. He wasn't crying out in agony. We can just imagine any one of those things if happened to us, we'd be, be lucid. But Prahlāda was unconcerned. He was completely at peace because he was totally fixed on Krishna, his consciousness, absolutely absorbed. And so he was protected at every moment, both internally and externally. And this more or less freaked his father out, but he said, okay, one more try with these teachers. Let's see what they can do. What else can I do? But now, it's not just Prahlāda. He's spreading this poison to the other children. He is now being very seditious, as well as obstinate, incorrigible, his father would say. So this is the last straw, so to speak. And what is Hiranyakashipu going to do about it when he finds out? He's going to kill him, try to kill him himself, and that's when the Shringadevas will appear. It's very dramatic. But these teachings that are coming up are very significant. You read them, and it starts out with this famous verse: Komara achare pragyo dharman bhagavatana durlabam manasam janma tadapyadruvam artadam. Prabhupada quote this verse all the time. This was an inspiration for his establishing and nourishing and promoting the Gurukul. Komara achare pragyo dharman bhagavatana. This Bhagavat Dharma. He had this whole series of Bhagavad Dharma discourses in New Vrindavan, and it was inspired by this verse. So Bhagavad Dharma is that Dharma that's preached by Krishna. In other words, real Dharma. Dharmam to sakshat Bhagavad Pranita. Prabhupada quote that one all the time. What is real Dharma? That which is spoken by the Lord. Not some interpretation, not some concoction, not some, no, it's Krishna's words. So he says, this verse says, Komara Asharet, it should begin at childhood. As soon as you can understand words, as you can be trained, and even before then, I like to tell this story because he was trained up in the womb, right? So before childhood. But in normal course of events, children should be trained. That's the whole principle of Gurukul. Prabhupada established as soon as he could in ISKCON. Because there's no time to waste, as that's part of this instruction. Avyarta kaladvam is one of the principles that Rupa Goswami gives us. And you can see it's essential. Because as soon as you're wasting time means you're forgetting Krishna, right? And doing something non-Krishna conscious, out of the realm of the instructions of the Shastra and the Guru, right? And I came up with this rather startling judgment. Maybe you can give me a response on this one. Of the four regular principles, right? No illicit sex, no meat eating, and no intoxication, and no gambling. Usually it's thought that, well, gambling, I can cover that one. That's the easy one. But that's the hardest one. Because when we voluntarily, and it's always our decision to forget Krishna because we still have attraction to Maya or something, that's gambling. That the bombs won't fall at that time, that the tsunami won't come, that we won't have a heart attack, right? When we voluntarily, because that's how we came here. We wanted to forget Krishna, otherwise how could we enjoy Maya? So that was the deal. All right, Bhayam dudi ishadapeta viparyosa smati. This is the source of fear. It's how we turn from Krishna and we become absorbed in the dualities of this material world. Wanting to enjoy them, and then everything becomes upside down. Instead of being the servants of Krishna, using our senses for serving Krishna, we become the servants of the senses and forget all about Krishna. We have the false ego, the false sense of self as a separate enjoyer of Krishna. We're competitors, and that's a loser's proposition. But the posture of Krishna consciousness is turning back again to Krishna, right? That's the whole idea. With your senses, with your mind, your intelligence, with your wealth, with your life air, everything that you've got, that you can control, link it up to Krishna according to the instructions of Guru and Shastra. That's the whole program. We have faith in that's going to work. Why? Because we begin to experience the benefits on day one if we take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? It's a Pratyakshavagam Namyam, second verse of that 9th chapter, that key chapter in Bhagavad Gita. It is the king of education, very confidential, Rajaguyam, Pavitram Vidamud, the most purifying process is Krishna consciousness, and Pratyakshavagam Namyam. Pratyaksha means you can directly perceive it. It's not that yes, you'll go for many, many years, and then you'll get liberation when you die, you know. But between now and then, it's very austere, you know, to get up. It doesn't. There's a certain amount of austerity, but if you do it right and you take on, you know, you not just the no's, but the yeses. Prabhupada makes the point in so many lectures that we're not just asking people to give this up, give this up, give this up. We're giving them engagement for the senses, so that the senses will become your friends rather than your enemies. There's this beautiful verse. You'll never hear anyone chant this verse but me, because I memorized it. A prayer of the well, I shouldn't say that. It may happen. It's in the 87th chapter, and the personified Vedas are praying to Mahavishnu before the creation. You know, very important chapter. If you look at the Krishna book, you're reading along. You know, chapter 5 pages long, 10 pages long. This one is like 100 pages long. There's a lot of commentary in Prabhupada. So this is one of, I memorized several, this is one I can remember now. Tvadanupattam kulai, so they're praying. Tvadanupakam kulai min amapna surit priyavat. Chadatiton muket vihite priya apmanicha. Nabadadamanta ho asadopasana yabmahano yadunusha yabhrame hudubahe kushadi nipita. It's all in there. The whole philosophy is there. So they say, the word kulayam is a word that means physical body, because it means it eventually is destroyed and merges back into the earth. So he says this human body, conditioned body, if one practices Krishna consciousness nicely, then it becomes his friend. It's not, you know, it's not like a burden. It becomes your friend and your facility for serving Krishna. And on your side, as a super soul, you're instructing and you're guiding and everything is very nice. But alas, he says, Nabadantaho Asodopasane, those who don't take their pleasure in serving you, they worship the impermanent. It's the famous Bible thing, worshiping mammon, you see. Asadupasanaya. Anyone know what that means? Asadupasanaya. Worshiping the impermanent. And what's the result? Atmahano. Virtual spiritual suicide. And then the final line, and so such persons, all the conditioned souls, Yadunshaya Brahman, they wander in the material world, the different bodies, different planets everywhere, just keep wandering. Brahman Urubaye Kushadira Batak, taking on all kinds of fearful, horrible bodies in situations, you see? That's the choice we have. If we turn toward Krishna and we sincerely try to practice, then our life is very auspicious. And this very body becomes our friend, because we serve Krishna with these hands, we smell the flowers with the nose, we see Krishna with the eyes. And that's why Prabodhananda Saraswati says in his famous verse, Kaivalyam Nadakayate, Durdan Denji Akada Sarvapatali Podkata Dangstrayate. He says, unlike the Hatha yogis and the mystic yogis, they're fighting. You know, they got to go alone and sit there and perform severe austerities. Okay, it's summertime. Let's go find a desert and build some fires around it. We'll sit in the middle of the heat, you know, and really get some. Oh, it's wintertime. Okay, let's go find a river and break the ice and go in there and just sit in the river and meditate. You know, no, we don't have to do that. You know, of course, for us, some of the austerities we have to perform may seem just as hard. But no, you know, getting up early and coming. After a little while, it's not a big deal, and it's just a great, you know, boon. You're able to come see the deity and everything. So this is a very important verse, and Prahlāda Mahārāja is don't forget his prayers, which will come up in chapter 9. Near the end, this classic two prayers that are like the preacher's anthem, you know, for Prabhupada. Naivo dvijay padadodatteya vaitaranyaствadviya gayana mahamata magna chitta. Shochetito vimukachetasa indriyata maya sukaya banamudvahato vimudan. You know that one? No? You weren't learning it. It's very important. So Naivo dvijay. This is this word udvija, which he started his instructions with his father, Tatsadamanye Sudavayadem Sada Samudvigna. This word udvigna is another form of udvijay. So it's my dear Lord, I am not at all disturbed at all by anything. And you've just killed all this blood everywhere and dead bodies. I'm not at all disturbed by what you did. Thank you, Naibodvijay Paradoratjaya Vaitaranyas, because you're across the Vaitaranya river and I'm with you all the time. And so I have no care in the world. And he proved it, by standing up to all this. Because anywhere I am, I can merge my mind in an ocean of nectar by singing your glories. This is a very important instruction, because it works. It always works. If we can absorb ourselves in hearing and chanting, then we can tolerate the greatest difficulty, which will come to all of us at the time of death. Who knows what's going to happen? There might be a tsunami tomorrow and washed away, and while it's happening, we've got to be chanting Hare Krishna. So, Tvadvirya Gayana, singing your powerful glories, Mahamrita Magnachitta. My consciousness is merged in an ocean of nectar. Where's there any problem for me? But then he says something very astounding. Shochetita. I'm lamenting. What's this? Why are you lamenting? Vimukha-chetasa indriyata mayasaka. For those, vimukha-chetasa mean those who turned away from Krishna. They literally turned their face away from Krishna. Chetas, their consciousness. And for what? Indriyata mayasukaya. For the sense of sense gratification, indriyata, which is illusory happiness. Why is it illusory? Because it has a beginning and an end. And it's the source of all misery. Remember, my favorite verse, this will be my anthem. Yahi sangsparjaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Ajandabandhan konteya nateshu ramate buddha. The intelligent person does not take part in the pleasures that derive from the senses' contact with the sense objects. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and are the sources of all misery, and therefore the wise do not delight in them. So where do they find their delight? By hearing and chanting about Krishna, by serving him in many ways. So he's lamenting because these fools and rascals have turned away from you, trying to enjoy this Maya Sukaya, and bearing the great burden, Badamudvahito. I got to make the money, you have to be just right, I have to find my dealer, whatever. There's a whole different things you have to do to try to fulfill those desires, and in the end, misery, suffering. Another body, probably subhuman. So Prahlāda knows all that. He's a Mahajan, so he's explaining. So then he gives another verse about preaching. This is the second one. They go together. He criticizes those. Prayena deva manayosava mukti kama maunam chadandi bijanena parartanishta. So this prayena, for the most part, those who are munis and sages, they're lusty after their own liberation. Liberation alone is a big object of sense gratification. What could be more desirable for someone who's got material senses to be beyond all birth and death, old age and disease? Oh, let me get that. How can I do that? Okay, they have today idiotic. Well, let me freeze my brain, right? Don't they have cryonics? It's idiotics. Anyway, that's not going to work. But getting liberation by the process of austerity and penance, so what do? They go alone. They practice silence. They don't talk. That's the origin of the word muni. They're not talking. But devotees are talking all the time. Why? We're not munis? No, the greatest munis, they don't talk nonsense. They talk about Krishna. Being silent, you're not going to help anybody, and you're not going to help yourself ultimately. So maunam charandi vijane. They go where there are no people. Vijane. In the mountains, the forest, some cave somewhere. Alone. Don't distract me. And then the key phrase, na parartanishta. Not at all determined to help others. They don't care. That's not bhakti. That's the coolest thing. I have this knowledge how you can get beyond birth and death, so I'm going alone so I can realize it. Goodbye. You can sit in the cities, right? But Prahlāda says, naitad vihaya kripana vimamuksha eko nanyam sarasti sharanam brahmate nupashe. So, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay with his friends here and in the middle of the cities, and to help people because my Lord, I don't see anyone but you who can help them, and I have to introduce them to you. That's the whole idea. Prabhupada came into the middle of Kali Yuga in New York City. Why? obviously not for sense gratification. He's perfectly, where people, come by the millions, to enjoy the city. Of course not. He was perfectly situated, ideally, in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, the center of the spiritual universe, But he had this order from his Gurudev, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he had the prediction of Lord Chaitanya that my name will be chanted in every town and village. And so, what Prabhupada called the fag end of his life, 69, he got on that boat that your Gurudev wrote that wonderful chapter about getting on the boat, then meditating. I'll try to share that with you all. It's really nice. And so, that was such a how do you say it, an essential critical act, to take that courageous act, and it was dangerous. He almost died from a heart attack. It wasn't the proper thing for an old man. Maybe a cruise ship or an ocean liner, the Queen Mary, but not some cargo ship that wasn't made for that. So it was a difficult passage, obviously. And he went through so much coming and so much to write the books, and get the books published. I know personally how difficult it was to do that. So all in that same mood as Prahlāda Mahārāja. And here Prahlāda is now going to take the biggest risk, knowing full well that this is going to anger his father more than before. Because there's one thing if there's one, his son, all right, he's incorrigible, can't help him, and we can't kill him. So, all right, maybe they'll be able to fix him. But this is too much. It's seditious. He's undermining the whole wonderful demonic kingdom I have here. What's going to happen if all the kids be turned into devotees? All right, I'm going to kill him myself, and you'll see what happens. I think there's an incarnation that comes. I forget which one. No, I'm just kidding. So this is the. It says he's the supremely learned person. He's a Mahajan. Addressed his friends with a sweet language, and these wonderful instructions. One of the ones he gives, he compares the very deeply entrenched, in Maya householders to a silkworm. The silkworm. It's a great analogy. The silkworm, he makes his own cocoon, right, out of this silk thing, whatever he does. He has some exudation, does that. And he's feeling really good. He's warm in there. He seems safe, and he's fine, But he's being, there's a silk maker, right? And he's raising these silkworms to do that. And then when the time comes, he takes the whole thing and puts it in boiling water. And that's the end of the silkworms. And then they get the silk out of that. He unwinds it. That's how they make real silk, right? So that's analogous to materialistic household life. Right at the beginning, second canto, and throughout, it's always like that, what is it? Pungsaksya mindani bhavametang tayo mato vidya grantamaho akta griha cheta sutapta vitta janasya moho yamahammameti. That's another instance. It starts with the sex attraction, pungsaksya mindani bhava. And then when they come together, it becomes very tight. The knot, vidya granti, becomes very tight, And then, okay, well, we're not just enjoying illicit sex here, we're going to have a household, So, Ata griha, you have to have a place, a griha, and then you have to have a chaita. Now, chaita means a field where you can farm, but in general it means a job, a place, some way of maintaining. So that's a hassle, that expands your headache. And then comes children, and then comes relatives, and then to support it all, vitta, you have to have money, in this way, vitta, janasya moho yamahammameti. And that generates bewilderment in the general category of me and mine. This is my wife, this is my children, this is my house, this is my bank account, this is my insurance, this is my car. Okay, I got it together, And all based on your material identification with the body. As soon as the body goes, what happens to all that? It's gone. Mityu sarva haraschaham, Krishna says. I take everything away as death. So understanding that, those who are intelligent, who get the benefit of associating with the pure devotee through his words, chiefly through his books and other media that allow, then you get the idea. Okay, well, what alternative I have? Yes, second chapter Gita. You're not going to die. You live forever. But what you do now in your lifetime is going to determine what your future body is going to be. So here's what you do, A, B, C, D, E, in order to get the best body in your next life, a purely spiritual body. Reinstated you in your original position. Your original position. That's the mukti. Mukti hipanyata rupam swarupene bhavastati. That's the definition of mukti, according to the bhaktas. You know, there's a wonderful pastime with, what was that? What was it? Mukti padesa daya bhak. What's the beginning of that verse? How's it go? No, he's quoting a verse from Bhagavatam. How's it go? Tatenukampam. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi. But he was, you know, he wasn't a... anyway, he had some, obviously, some devotional leanings. And he was very pious. And when he wanted to take Lord Chaitanya under his wing, because he's always a sannyasi. And in those days, all the sannyasis were Mayavadis generally. And he comes into the Jagannath temple and he faints. Oh, there's my Lord, you know, and he goes into ecstasy samadhi. And the guards had seen it all, you know. They see all these fake devotees come in, you know, and so they're about to go and beat him and get him off the floor. You know? And Sarvabhauma says, wait. It looks, he may be genuine. And he checked, he's not breathing. Wait a minute. So he took a little cotton and there's a little breath. Oh, okay. So he's in high samadhi. And he was so beautiful, you know, he was a tried young sannyasi. So, oh, hey, take him to my home, you know, I'll take care of him, you know. so he goes into this whole thing. And, you know, he's concerned about it. He's a young sannyasi. How are you going to be able to maintain sannyas? You know, for Mayavadis, it must be tougher without bhakti. So he said, let me instruct you in the Vedanta. Okay. So he's thinking, there's a wonderful painting. Mahaprabhu is just staring ahead, and the Bhattacharya is going through his whole thing, you know. And so it goes on for days like that, and finally he says, well, are you hearing it? Yes, I'm hearing. He said, but you're not asking any questions. Don't you have any questions? Do you understand the philosophy? I understand the Vedanta Sutta perfectly well, but your explanations are like a cloud covering the sun, you know. So he didn't realize this is not just this is Nimai Pandit. He's, you know, super learned in it. So anyway, so what's your idea? So then he said, all right. So then Lord Chaitanya starts explaining the Vedanta, and by the end of the explanation, some of our Bhattacharya realized that he's actually a bhakta at heart, you know. So so what happened? So he actually heard the absolute truth from the best source, Lord Chaitanya, and we can hear it too. There's so many things he speaks in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavat, right? We are also getting the same thing. What does Prabhupada's Pranama to say? Gauravani Pracharine. He's preaching the words of Lord Chaitanya and thus saving us from impersonalism, voidism, and all the kind of illusion. Following in the footsteps of great acharyas, beginning with the spiritual master. So Prahlāda Mahārāja has shown the way. He's doing that too. As soon as he gets the time and the opportunity, he's going to give as much Krishna consciousness to his friends as possible. And so this is the mood of this Krishna consciousness movement, is that as soon as there's a possibility to preach, you know, you take advantage of it. And Prabhupada has given us this mission, of course, spreading his books. That'll go on until the end of time, you know. But also there's so many other media. There's also Harinam, there's festivals, and, you know, there's all kinds of venues. But the whole idea is to have that sense of urgency, because people are passing by all the time, and if we're not approaching them, if we're not we're not involved in the whole enterprise of giving them Krishna consciousness, then we're not really in the line, you know, of Srila Prabhupada and all these forebears and the Mahajans, of which Prahlāda is one. So that's what we're going to see here. And he was this truly supreme. Smiling, he began to teach them about the uselessness. So it's a great opportunity. Here they're all, you know, like him. You know, he's their leader, as it were, and they're very open, very receptive to the message. You know, this is another thing. The quality of one's hearing, the quality of one's study, you know, of receptive of the message. Do we have this shu-shu-sho mood? This is probably defined in two ways: ardent hearing or submissive oral reception. That submissive oral reception phrase refers to how so many arguments come into the brain, right? Well, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't jibe with what I just read in this other book, and da-da-da-da-da. There's a million reasons why the mind, in the mode of passion or ignorance, will reject Krishna consciousness. So that means there has to be a skillful way of presenting it. And then we hear these wonderful stories from Govardhan and Dvijamani and others, how they Vijay's book is filled with them, of how you develop a skill, how you can make friends with the person, and they become a little submissive, they become a little receptive, at least to the idea of taking the book. And then you give him, then it's up, to him to read and to receive the message. That's often the best we could do. But it basically it means that they feel that you're someone in that mood, like Prahlāda. You feel the urgency. They don't know why they're suffering, or even that they're suffering. They think they're doing okay, but they're not. Everyone who's not Krishna conscious is in a very dangerous situation. Fatal situation. You come to this human form of life, and then you're just wasting it, tragically, for sense gratification. Maya sukhaya badamudvidatopa mudhan. So those who do know the truth, that there's a means by which you can attain eternal life and go back to Godhead, they feel the urgency of giving as many people that message as accurately as possible. And then also, we should understand that this whole temple, the whole little yatra here, is meant for preaching. Temples are meant to be little oases where someone can come and immediately there's Krishna everywhere. I remember when I first walked in, I remember the incense burning. That was an attractive feature. And then the devotees, they were so friendly. There was this one devotee I'll never forget. I used to visit regularly. That I had to go back to my job. I'm driving back to Long Island from New York. And he would say, "Did you have prasadam yet?" By that time I knew what prasadam was. No, I haven't. Well, he'd take me downstairs where they had the prasadam hall. And then he would give me some simple prasadam leftovers, and it all tasted delicious. And meanwhile, I'm taking prasadam, he's preaching to me, telling me Krishna consciousness. And so all of that together, and the philosophy, of course the mantra, everything was attractive. And maybe it was because it wouldn't have been attractive a few years earlier when I was a gross meat eater and, taking drugs. Luckily it was all just marijuana. The marijuana then was a different species than they have now. I haven't taken any for a long time, but I've read about it. All of this legalization is just insane. And naturally, they're competing now to make the strongest marijuana, so there'll be more, poor kids, they smoke it, and they get this disease, they get the mental problems. But and why? Because they think, I'll enjoy, right? All of these enjoyments are the source of all misery. Either right away in this lifetime, or you get another body to enjoy as a hog, quote, enjoy as a hog. So what's the percentage? So we are investors. We are meant to be wise investors. And what do we have to invest? Our time. Our time, our energy, our attention, and for the best return. And how can there be a greater return than eternal life of bliss and knowledge? No death, no old age, no disease. Obviously, that's the greatest gain. So we're meant to invest and get others to invest their time. Take a book, yes, give a donation, okay, I'll invest. And then having given the donation, well, let me open it and see what's like. Prabhupada said, even one word, because there's that whole idea of like just a moment's association with a pure devotee can give you all perfection. What is that verse? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Association with a pure devotee, all these shastras say, even a moment's association can give you all protection. Why? Because that moment can plant the seed of the creeper of bhakti. A seed, where you become interested in the book, where you become interested in chanting, you become interested in association, and before long you find, well, I'm not so depressed anymore like I used to be. So that's Prahlāda is saving his friends there. And this is just too much for Hiranyakashipu. He's going to come with his sword, What are you doing? Where's your God? You say your God is everywhere. I don't see him. Is he in this pillar? Yes, Father. He's in the pillar. Where? Now comes. It's very dramatic. I've seen so many little plays, that it's just, the Bhagavatam is wonderful. Okay, questions, yes? Have I done that before? I know. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the seed syllable for the Sringadev. You just got to visualize. He's pulling up. He's disemboweling Hiranyakashipu. Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namastejas Tejase Abhiravi Bhavavadranaka Vadranangsta Karma Shayan Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Apani Bhuhishta Om Kṛṣṇa. In the purport to this verse, this is in the 5th canto, chapter 18, the residents of Jamadweep offer prayers, and one of those residents is Prahlāda. I think this is the first prayers. And this was, I think, this was the first prayer. And at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, anyone who wants to be free of material desires should offer prayers to the Sringadev as Prahlāda does in this prayer. I said, oh really? I'm working on the manuscript. This hasn't even been published yet. I said, all right, let me memorize. It's in there. So what does it mean? Om Namo Bhagavate. Oh, I bow down to the Lord. Om Narasringadev. Bhagavad Narasimha. Namastejas. Tejas say, obeisance to you, the most powerful of the powerful. Aviravir Bhava. Please, please be manifest in my heart. And with your Vajranaka Vajradangshtra, with your thunder-like nails and thunder-like teeth, tear apart any material desires in my heart. Karma Shayan, this Karma Shayan means the hopes for karmic activity, for, Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa. Please drive away all the darkness in my heart, the ignorance. Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa. Om Swaha. I offer my oblations unto you. Abhayam Abhayam Atmani. You're the source of all fearless, the source of all fearless. Please, Atmani Atmani. Om Kṛṣṇa. I offer oblations. It's a very powerful prayer. So we can all learn that. Look it up in the 5th canto. Just look up the word Ksraum. I think it's the only place it appears in the Bhagavatam. Okay, any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna and Shram.
Shram to you, Tony.
You mentioned the personified Vedas,
yes,
and they were praying.
Yes.
Can you give a visual description of how that kind of...
Well, sometimes it says they're the Upanishads, isn't it? I think the personified Vedas, that's the title of the chapter, and then they start coming and offering prayers, and these are I don't know how to explain it. The Vedas personified, but they later come down and become gopis, and join in the rasa dance. There's different sources of the gopis. Or do they become the stages of Dandakaranya also? I forget. But they're definitely one group of Krishna's gopis later, because some of the prayers, or one or two of the prayers, is like that, and they mention the gopis. And so the way to really enter into that mood is to get bodies of the gopis. So they're given that blessing also. And also there's these definitely sages in the Dandakaranya forest where Ram went with Sita and Lakshman, And there were all kinds of sages there. And when they saw Ram, he was so beautiful, they said, oh, we want to enjoy this rasa with you. He says, no, in this incarnation I have one wife, and that's Sita. But in your next life or in future life, you'll be born as gopis and you'll be able to cavort with Krishna like that. So that's another group. And some are as eternal gopis, come down with him, and others are being promoted from human life. So there's 4 different categories. But how you can become a personified Veda, what does that mean? I don't know. It's just one of the most, one of the many mysterious things in the Bhagavatam. It's inconceivable. But there it is. They're offering these beautiful prayers. Anyone else? Yes, Mataji. Yeah, because we have an audience. Don't worry about it.
Hello there. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to ask, what's a gopi?
What is a gopi?
Yeah.
Oh boy, there could be a long answer or a short answer to that. Well, let's put it this. Krishna is a gopa, and they're gopis. A gopi is a cowherd girl. They don't go and they don't actually herd the cows, but a lot of their work is like they're churning yogurt and milking the cows and like that. So in the idyllic land of Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, it's a very rural, sylvan, ideal place. And Krishna takes this role of a cowherd boy, which is kind of a humble position. But when you think about it, it's described. Of course, they're describing the earthly Vrindavan pastimes, he'll be out there playing with his friends and enjoying, and some demon will come, and he'll have to kill the demon. In Goloka Vrindavan, there's no demons. There's only this eternal play. His job is to take care of the cows. But he goes out with all the boys. He's playing the flute, and the cows, they're doing fine. They're grazing. You don't need to do much, and they can play all kinds of games and everything together. So his work is play. That's the whole idea. It's all lila.
Amazing.
And the cowherd girls are, some of them are married, and some are unmarried. And he has this affair with them, but it's all very wholesome. This is. It doesn't. Nobody gets depressed. Everybody's blissful by the whole thing. So they're the young girls in Goloka Vrindavan and in Boma Vrindavan, gopis.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You can read about it in Krishna book. Yeah, get a Krishna book. Anyone else? Locally or remotely? All right, Vijay Krishna, you got something? Oh, I'm sorry, Vichandra.
Yes, I do.
All right, wait. We got a local one. It'll be a minute or two.
Yes, I can wait, no problem.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the nice lecture. You mentioned about that we can be liberated if we follow instructions and this devotional service. And please correct me if I not proper understand, but we should do this service conscious when we lost conscious.
I'm sorry?
No, we should do and conscious that we do it for Krishna pleasure.
Yeah.
If we any service we do and we have lost this consciousness,
awareness, completely,
yes, then result will be very, very small, maybe like pious activity only. Yes or no?
That's a good question, because you're engaged in some service. You may be washing the pots, doing something. Like I go in there to do the dates, and half the time, or not half the time, but often, there's no towel. I said, where's the towels? How am I going to dry my hands? So at that moment, I may not be thinking of Krishna. I'm thinking, where's the towels? I got to do it. So I've let my mind wander, but I'm still engaged in the service. So it's not fatal, but it's something to work on, so that in every circumstance in your service, you can remember Krishna. You can remember the form and the name of Krishna. That's really that's the high level. But sometimes, as we just read recently, I think remembrance can be interrupted. I think it's in one of the purports we read in the morning. So that's a different stage. You have to go through that stage. So the real danger is that if allow that disease, if you will, or that habit to continue, that you may allow the modes of nature to enter when you're not actually thinking of Krishna. You're just doing your service. We had a bhakta here. This was before you came, and he was doing nicely. Some of you who were here will remember it. I don't like to name names, but he was blissfully dancing and everything. He would like to quote that second line, "Susukam kartam abhyam," and all this stuff, But I think he had a problem reading, because he was dyslexic and he would do all this stuff. So that was my. And at a certain point, he was not happy, and he left. And he says, "Yeah, it's like slave mentality or something." He probably had to do the pots a few days in a row or something. And so that was tragic, really. But he had an opportunity, but he allowed that materialistic thing of that. Oh, I got to do the pots again, whatever, whatever happened, or he had some other form. He's probably working as a pot washer now. You think so? That would be great if I saw him in there and said, Haribol. But after all, we look at the history of this movement, and for whatever reason, many, I think, majority of people who were involved in it, even for some years, in the early days, so many things happened, and they're not active now. Something happened, and they stopped chanting and they stopped associating, influence. So that's why I say that gambling is the most difficult of the four regulars to carefully follow, because every time we forget Krishna voluntarily, we're always forgetting him for a reason. We're risking that we get the disease of modes of nature again, and we prolong we increase the chances that we'll have to come back again, and that we may lose the touch with the devotees. Now, nothing is ever lost, but it can be put on hold, and then so that's why it's we're enjoined to be very careful, don't commit offenses. I mean, that offense one of the offenses of disobeying the orders of the spiritual master, to me, that's kind of a catch-all, isn't it? There's so many instructions, and you have to. So it's a struggle to come to the platform of nishta, come to the platform of steadiness, and gradually it's like purifying and stirring the vat of sugarcane juice, so it becomes very thick, and then we can at every moment to be tasting the nectar of Krishna consciousness, and there's no chance you're going to end it. Why would you stop? You're tasting the highest happiness. Let's keep doing it. But it's difficult to get to that point. Okay, Vijay Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Dravida Prabhu, but Maitreya Prabhu is here. Maybe he would like to go first.
Okay, Maitreya Prabhu.
Hi, bro. No, I'm just listening. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, thanks. Go
Hare
ahead,
Krishna.
Vijay.
So, Dravida Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind and about pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reciting again the third sentence of the purport to text 54?
Not at all.
The first text you recited today?
Yeah, just give me a second to find it. The third sentence?
Yes, of the purport to text 54.
It looks like the last sentence, too. Okay, 1, 2. It starts with the word instead.
Yes.
Instead, he, Prahlāda, wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness.
Exactly. That is the quote. Thank you very much. You're most kind. So based on this quote, my question is, why would Prahlāda want to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness when he was already perfect? That is my question.
Yes. Because those who are the most advanced devotees think they're most fallen. There's a pastime which this exactly in this line. I think Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and he's maybe another temple, but there was the Radha Krishna deities, I think, and he was in front of the deities, and he seemed to be praying very ardently. And the devotee, after he prayed, he asked him, very humbly, Srila Prabhupada, what were you praying for? And Prabhupada said, I'm praying that I don't fall down. And the devotee's jaw dropped. What is that? Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee. You can't fall down. How is that possible? You're right, because I'm always praying that I won't fall down. In other words, the chanting that's going on constantly, right, internally or externally, is always being done in that mood of helplessness. I'm the most fallen, right? I'm the most fallen. Therefore, I need your mercy most. So I'm ardently praying, please don't let me. I was just reading, there's a beautiful prayer from the Stotra Ratna. I got to memorize it. The most famous one, the Bhavantam Evanuchadam Dharantadak. But there's another one in the Madhya Lila. And it's one of these prayers. It's, my dear Lord, please hear something. And it's very true. Is that if you want to save the most fallen, and you to be known as the most merciful, you'll have to save me, because I'm the most fallen, and then only then will be known as the most merciful. Something along those lines. And the devotees actually feel that way. The great devotees. Krishna's Kaviraj says, anyone who chants my name loses all good fortune, and I'm more lowly. I'm worse than the worm and stool. And he said, and Prabhupada said in the purport, don't think they're exaggerating. They're actually feeling that way. And in that mood, they're crying out with the greatest ardent, desperation, please save me. And that saves you. And then Krishna responds to that. He responds to the one who's really sincerely feeling that way. So it's kind of paradoxical. The most advanced devotees often singing these songs, Narottam or Bhaktivinoda, they seem to be saying, oh, they're so, but we should never think, oh, I didn't know that about them. No, we should think that they're just expressing that feeling because of their advancement. They're feeling so lowly, and it gives them the opportunity to call out with great desperation, and Krishna always responds to that. And he, so that's the answer. Yes, he's already advanced in Krishna consciousness, but I think Prabhupada wrote this in that mood. That why does he need to use every moment? It's automatic with him. What's the urgency? No, he has to feel that I have to be on the safe side. I better be calling out and practicing with great intensity and praying like that. And that's the way we should also pray. That's why it's nice to read some of the prayers from the Bhagavatam. They're all in that mood, I was just this prayer. Prabhupada would quote this one often. You may know it. Not yet. All right. So this is a great prayer, Stotra Ratna. What is the meaning of Stotra Ratna, Dvijamani? Who can say? Yes, a book that's full of jewel-like stotras of prayers. So he says, Bhavantame Bhavanachadandarantarak Prashanta Nikshe Samanodatantarak Kadahamai Kantika Nitya Kinkara Praharshi Yasyami Sanata Jivitam. So Bhavanta means you. Oh Lord, he's praying directly to Krishna. Evanuchadandarantara kadaham. When will I be constant in my remembrance of you and my prayers to you? Evanuchadandarantara kadaham. I can't take a niti Bhavanta me evanuchadandarantara prashanta nikshe samanodatanga. So this is great. The pacifying the endless thoughts and mind going, the monorata, the chariot of the mind, right? Like we have a train of thought. Everyone is like that. The train takes you all the way, and you're a million miles away from where you want to be. So when will that? And I will be completely pacified. My mind won't be giving me all of these ideas. Go here, go there. I'll just be peacefully. Kadaham. When? Kadaham I kantika nitya kinkara. Will I feel myself to be your humble servant, your menial servant, kinkara, eternally, ekantika nitya kinkara, with no deviation. And then in that mood, praharshi yasyami sanataji, and I'll be very, very jubilant to always be living with the knowledge that I have this wonderful master, you. When will that day be mine? So that's instructive. That even the greatest devotees are praying the most ardently, and saying, "Oh, I'm fallen. Please, if you want to be known as the most merciful, please save me," like that. So that's what this mood is. Instead, he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing Krishna consciousness. He's thinking that he needs to advance. So, it's like that. So, and we'll get more of this in his prayers when we read those wonderful prayers in the 9th chapter after Nrsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Oh, Dravida Prabhu, has to be expected. Better than okay, if I may say it. You said it all. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Boy, it sounds like we're not going to hear any more questions from Vijay, but don't do that. We want to keep hearing them, Vijay. Hare Bol.
Of course not.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.